Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Star Wars channel. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe it's been a long day in your own galaxy, or maybe you're simply searching for peace, a quiet moment beneath the stars, where the hum of the Force can lull you to rest. There's nothing you need to do now but breathe. Let the day fall away like sand slipping through your fingers. Let your thoughts drift like ships through hyperspace, slow and silent. Each breath carries you deeper into calm, into stillness, into the soft glow of starlight. Tonight, we journey into shadow, not in fear, but in wonder. We'll wander through the hidden halls of the Sith, through the rise and fall of empires, through whispers of power and the echoes of forgotten names. We'll listen as the dark side tells its story, not as evil, but as part of the great rhythm of the Force itself. For even in darkness, there is beauty. And even among the Sith, there are lessons to be learned about passion, purpose, and the longing to endure. So close your eyes now. Let the stars unfold above you, and together, let's drift into the shadows of the galaxy far, far away. May the Force be with you, always. 1. The birth of the dark side. Long before empires or sabers, before even the word Sith was whispered, the Force moved through the galaxy like a gentle tide. But where there is light, there must be shadow. In the stillness of ancient time, some began to feel that the Force could be more than balance. It could be will, desire, freedom. These beings listened not to harmony, but to hunger. They learned that emotion could bend reality, that pain could shape destiny. Thus, the first breath of the dark side was drawn. Not evil, but passion unrestrained. The galaxy trembled softly as power found its voice, and in that whisper of rebellion, the seed of the Sith was planted. 2. The lost species of Korriban. Far beyond the Republic's oldest maps, there was a world shrouded in red storms and silence. Korriban. It was the cradle of the Sith, not as a philosophy, but as a people. Their skin glowed crimson under dying suns. Their eyes gleamed with secrets older than the stars. The Sith species built temples of black stone, carved deep into the mountains, where they communed with the dark energies that flowed beneath their sands. They worshipped strength, honored conflict, and believed that power was the truest form of life. When exiled Jedi later came to their world, the Sith did not resist. They welcomed them, and together they forged something darker. And so, the name Sith became more than blood. It became belief. 3. The first whisper of power. When the fallen Jedi met the Sith of Korriban, a union of knowledge began. The mysticism of the stars joined the fire of the flesh. The dark side, once a faint echo, became a song that filled the night. Through their rituals, they learned to shape lightning from their rage and illusions from their fear. They wove armor from shadow and called forth spirits from beyond. Power became a river without end, and the Sith learned to drink deeply. Yet even in their triumph, a truth lingered, that the dark side does not serve, it consumes. The first Dark Lords rose in glory, only to fade into legend, their voices trapped within ancient tombs. And somewhere in those ruins, the Force still whispers their names. 4. The Dark Lords rise from shadows. From the deserts of Korriban, the first Dark Lords emerged. Tall figures draped in obsidian robes, their eyes burning like embers in the gloom. They were not born into power. They carved it from chaos. They ruled with conviction, not cruelty, believing that through struggle, one found truth. Each lord carried a name whispered in fear and awe. Ragnos, Sado, and countless others who shaped the galaxy in silence. They sought to master the Force not as servants, but as sculptors of destiny itself. And when they spoke, the stars seemed to tremble, for the Force obeyed them as flame obeys the wind. In those long-forgotten nights, the Sith learned that power and isolation are often one and the same. 5. Sorcery beneath crimson suns. Korriban's skies burned red with dust and time, and beneath them, Sith sorcerers worked their ancient arts. They drew circles in the sand, chanting words that hummed with the rhythm of the void. Through ritual, they bent the fabric of life, calling upon spirits and shadows to serve their will. Their magic was unlike the Jedi's, not calm and pure, but storm-like, raw, alive. They infused objects with hatred, forged weapons that remembered pain, and carved sigils into the walls of their tombs. Their power came not from serenity, but from surrender, to emotion, to chaos, to desire. And when the sun set over Korriban, their temples glowed faintly, as if the stones themselves remembered their fire. In that glow, the first true darkness took form. 6. Temples carved in black stone. The Dark Lords built monuments that defied time. Their temples, carved from volcanic rock, rose like mountains of shadow. Inside, the air was thick with dust, echo, and memory. Each hall was lined with statues of fallen masters, their faces eroded yet eternal. Beneath those silent eyes, apprentices meditated, not for peace, but for purpose. The deeper one walked, the heavier the air became, as if the dark side itself pressed close, testing those who dared to learn. Ancient scripts glowed faintly on the walls, whispering secrets to those who could endure the silence. These temples were not places of worship, but of transformation, where strength was born through solitude and struggle. And beyond every threshold lay another shadow waiting to be found. 7. The ancient code of passion. Long before holocrons and starfleets, the Sith spoke their truth in a single, flowing creed, the code of passion. It began softly, as a whisper in the dark. Peace is a lie, there is only passion. To them, passion was not destruction, but life itself, the heartbeat of existence. Through passion, they found strength. Through strength, power. Through power, victory. And through victory, their chains were broken. This mantra echoed through millennia, from temple halls to hidden apprenticeships, shaping every thought that called itself Sith. Yet beneath its fire was something quieter, the longing for freedom, for selfhood unbound by fear. In the stillness of the void, the Sith learned that passion was not their curse, it was their song. 8. The fall of the Jedi exiles. There was a time when the Jedi and Sith were not enemies, but kin divided by philosophy. When a great war among the Jedi burned across the stars, those who embraced emotion were cast out, exiled, broken, and full of grief. Their ships drifted to the outer rim, to the red world of Korriban, where they met the Sith species. The exiles carried wisdom, yet their hearts were heavy with defiance. The Sith welcomed them, seeing in their pain a reflection of their own strength. And so, two legacies merged, the mystic and the primal, the scholar and the warrior. In that union of shadow and flame, a new order was born, the Sith Empire, forged from exile's sorrow and ambition's spark. 9. The forging of the Sith Empire. From the ashes of rebellion, the Sith built an empire unlike any other. Its spires rose from the sands of Korriban, crimson and sharp against the starlight. Armies marched beneath banners woven with fire, guided by the will of the Dark Lords. Their fleets spread through the void, their presence a whisper that turned into thunder. Yet their rule was not built on cruelty alone. It was built on purpose. Each Sith sought not to serve, but to ascend, to prove their worth in the endless chain of power. And though they clashed among themselves, that very struggle kept their empire alive. As the stars looked on in silent awe, the Sith learned that conflict was their teacher, and victory their peace. 10. The rule of blood and fire. As the Sith Empire grew, so too did its hunger. Worlds were conquered, not simply for dominance, but for belief. The Dark Lords ruled by blood and fire, not in chaos, but in ritual. Each conquest was a ceremony, each victory a testament to the strength of will. Their banners burned red across the galaxy's edge, and their fleets darkened the stars. Yet beneath the roar of war, there was beauty in their order, a fierce harmony where strength replaced peace, and passion replaced restraint. The Sith saw themselves as sculptors of destiny, shaping the galaxy through fire's purity. And when the flames subsided, only the strongest remained, forged, not broken, by the crucible of their own creation. 11. The Dark Wars of Ziost. Ziost was once a jewel of the Sith Empire, its cities vast and silent, beneath a sky of cold light. But when ambition collided with pride, that jewel cracked. The Dark Wars began, battles not between nations, but between masters and apprentices, between those who sought to rule and those who sought to survive. Lightning scorched the plains, and entire armies vanished in storms of the Force. The wars raged for centuries, until the planet itself grew weary of their fury. Forests turned to ash, seas to dust, and Ziost became a graveyard for gods. Yet even in ruin, the Sith learned that destruction was never the end, only a darker beginning, and from those haunted ruins, power whispered anew. 12. The Shadows of Marka Ragnos. Among the ashes of Ziost rose one whose name would echo for ages, Marka Ragnos, the Dark Lord of all Sith. His reign brought a fleeting unity, a quiet order carved from fear and reverence. Clad in ancient armor, he ruled not through endless war, but through the weight of his presence. It was said that even the wind stilled in his command. For centuries, Ragnos held the Sith together, a shadow crowned in silence. And when he finally fell, the galaxy itself seemed to shudder, as if mourning its greatest darkness. Yet death did not silence him. His spirit lingered, a guardian of tombs and secrets on Korriban. And in the still air of his resting place, his voice can still be felt, patient and eternal. 13. The Legacy of Nagasato. After the passing of Marka Ragnos, the Sith looked to the stars once more, and among them rose Nagasato, a sorcerer of unmatched ambition. His eyes gleamed like twin embers beneath the shadow of his crown, and his heart burned with the desire to bring the Sith beyond the edges of their forgotten empire. He studied the secrets of the dark side as an artist studies form, crafting illusions vast enough to deceive fleets and manipulating the Force with the delicacy of a sculptor shaping marble. Sato believed the galaxy belonged to those who dared to claim it, yet his rise brought ruin, for ambition rarely walks alone. And when the stars dimmed, his legacy endured, a warning wrapped in brilliance and shadow. 14. The War that Burned the Stars. When Nagasato turned his gaze toward the Republic, the galaxy trembled. From the silent depths of space, the Sith armadas emerged, red-hulled ships gliding like embers through the void. The great hyperspace war had begun. Planets flared like candles in a storm as fleets clashed, their energy beams streaking across the darkness like veins of fire. Yet behind the chaos, there was strange beauty. The symmetry of destruction, the silence between battles, the stillness before the next dawn. The Sith fought with fury and vision, believing destiny itself was theirs to command. But the Republic endured, and the war that burned the stars soon faded into whispers. Still, in the emptiness it left behind, the Force remembered the heat of that fire. 15. The betrayal of Freeden Nad. In the centuries that followed, new names rose to fill the void, and among them was Freeden Nad, a Jedi who sought knowledge beyond the Council's light. His hunger led him to Korriban, where ancient spirits stirred in welcome. There, he listened to the whispers of Naga Sadow's tomb and drank deeply from the well of the dark side. Nad became a master of sorcery, his power blooming like a black sun. But as all Sith must, he turned upon his teacher and took the title of Dark Lord for himself. His reign spread through Onderon, a kingdom of passion and ghosts, where even in death he ruled. And from his shadowed throne, his spirit lingered, teaching, tempting, forever whispering in the dark. 16. Spirits bound in tombs. On Korriban, the line between life and death was never clean. The ancient Sith believed that true power should never fade, not even with the final breath. Through dark rites, their spirits were bound to their tombs, vast catacombs carved into the heart of the Red Desert. Within those halls, the air shimmered with lingering energy, cold and alive. Travelers spoke of faint voices echoing through the corridors, whispers that felt like memories half remembered. To disturb these tombs was to awaken centuries of resentment, yet to listen was to learn secrets the living could scarcely dream of. The Dark Lords did not rest. They waited, unseen and eternal, and even now, the sands shift as though those buried souls still stir beneath them. 17. The lost art of Sith, alchemy. Deep within the shadowed laboratories of Zeost and Korriban, the Sith wove science and sorcery together into something unholy and beautiful. Sith alchemy was not mere experimentation. It was creation through corruption. They bent life itself, fusing creatures, metals, and energy into forms that defied the natural order. Flesh became weapon, and stone became servant. From their hands were born the Terranta Techs, beasts that hungered for Jedi blood, and amulets that pulsed with the essence of the dark side. Alchemy was their rebellion against mortality, their proof that the living force could be rewritten. Yet every act carried a cost, for what they shaped outwardly often twisted them within. And in their pursuit of mastery, the Sith learned that creation and destruction share the same breath. 18. The creation of holocrons. Not all Sith sought dominion through armies. Some sought to rule through knowledge. They forged holocrons, dark pyramids of crystal and metal that hummed with ancient intelligence. Each one housed the essence of its creator, preserving their voice, their teachings, their will. To open a Sith holocron required not just the Force, but alignment. A heart touched by darkness, a mind willing to see beyond morality. Inside, the holocron would unfold like a dream, its secrets spilling forth in crimson light. Through these relics, Sith Lords spoke across centuries, teaching apprentices who had never met them in life. And so, even as empires fell, the whispers endured, carried forever through the geometry of shadow and time. 19. The ghosts that guard Korriban. As the centuries drifted by, like dust across the dunes, Korriban became less a world and more a wound in the Force. Its tombs whispered with the memories of empires long gone, and in those depths, not all spirits slept peacefully. The ghosts of the Dark Lords lingered, bound by pride, by rage, by the hunger for remembrance. They wandered the corridors of their ancient crypts, guarding their treasures and secrets from intruders. To walk among them was to feel the weight of eternity pressing against your soul. Many who entered never returned, their minds shattered by whispers too vast for mortal thought. And so, Korriban remained a place of silence and reverence, a graveyard watched over by restless kings of shadow. 20. The Ancient Blades of Power. Before the hum of lightsabers filled the galaxy, the Sith wielded weapons of a more primal kind. Forged through alchemy and infused with the dark side, their swords shimmered with an eerie, blood-red sheen. These blades were not tools of elegance, but instruments of will. They pulsed with malice, growing stronger with each life they took. A Sith's weapon was an extension of their soul, bound, living, and aware. When the age of lightsabers came, the Sith did not abandon the blade, they transformed it. Through the crimson crystal, known as a kyber, corrupted by pain, they brought forth the red sabers that burned like liquid fire. And so, the color of their rage became their legacy, glowing in every duel that followed. 21. Exar Kun's Forbidden Path. Long after the first empires had turned to dust, the name Exar Kun was spoken in whispers across the halls of the Jedi. He was once a scholar of light, fascinated by the hidden truths of the Force. But curiosity, like fire, is difficult to contain. He sought forbidden knowledge, delving into the tombs of Korriban, where the spirits of old Sith awaited. They welcomed him with shadows and secrets, teaching him the arts of sorcery and domination. In time, the light within him dimmed, replaced by a hunger to reshape the galaxy itself. Exar Kun became a Dark Lord, brilliant, cruel, and tragic. And though his body perished, his spirit remained bound within stone, a warning etched in eternity. That brilliance without balance can become its own cage. 22. The Fall of Ulic Qel-Droma. Ulic Qel-Droma was once a name spoken with admiration among the Jedi. A warrior of courage and grace, his heart burned with the desire to bring peace to the galaxy. Yet even the brightest star can fall into shadow. Drawn into war and seduced by the power of Exar Kun, Ulic turned from the light and embraced the dark side, believing he could control it, that he could master the fire without being consumed. But the dark side does not grant balance. It devours. His betrayal shattered worlds and hearts alike until, at last, regret claimed him. Stripped of the Force, he lived in silence, haunted by echoes of the power he once held. And when he finally found peace, it was not through conquest, but forgiveness. 23. The Shadow over Yavin. After the Great Sith War, the Force grew quiet, but shadows rarely vanish. They merely wait. Upon the moon of Yavin 4, Exar Kun's spirit endured, sealed within the ruins of a temple blackened by his rage. For centuries, the jungle grew thick around it, vines curling over stone like time reclaiming memory. The air shimmered with a faint, uneasy hum, the breath of the dark side, waiting for someone to listen. When new generations came, seeking knowledge or strength, they heard his whispers. Some resisted, others did not. The dark side does not rush. It lingers, patient as the stars. And beneath Yavin's emerald canopy, a ghost of fire continued to dream of empire. 24. The Teachings of Darth Revan. Among the many who walked the path between light and dark, none were as enigmatic as Darth Revan. Once a Jedi Knight, he gazed into the abyss of war and found purpose in its chaos. Revan believed that the Force was not bound by morality, only by will. That understanding both sides was the key to true power. His followers adored him, his enemies feared him, and even those who defeated him could not erase his influence. In time, he fell and rose again, his memory fractured, but his legend eternal. Revan's teachings endured in secret, woven into the very foundation of Sith philosophy. And somewhere in the endless currents of the Force, his presence still flickers, neither light nor dark, but both. 25. The betrayal of Malak. In the long echo of Revan's shadow stood his closest ally and his greatest betrayer, Darth Malak. Once brothers in arms, they had fought side by side in wars that tore the galaxy apart. But where Revan saw purpose and knowledge, Malak saw truth and dominance. The bond between them frayed like an ancient thread until betrayal was inevitable. In the silence between stars, Malak turned his guns upon his master, claiming the title of Dark Lord. His reign was one of fire and conquest, yet beneath his armor, there was always doubt. For even in his triumph, Malak remained haunted by the ghost of the man he had once followed. And when his end came, it was not with fury, but with a whisper, forgiveness, soft as starlight. 26. The rule of the triumvirate. When the galaxy could no longer hold the chaos left by Revan and Malak, three shadows rose from the void: Darth Traya, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Sion. Together, they formed the Sith triumvirate, a council of power built on pain. Each represented a wound in the Force: betrayal, hunger, and death. They did not rule through armies, but through silence and fear. Entire worlds fell not by battle, but by despair. They hunted Jedi like phantoms, erasing them from memory. Yet, even among themselves, trust was a fragile illusion. For the Sith, unity was never peace. It was a moment before the inevitable fall. And when their brief reign ended, the galaxy exhaled as though waking from a long and terrible dream. 27. The hunger of Darth Nihilus. Of the three, none embodied darkness more completely than Darth Nihilus, the Lord of Hunger. Once a mortal man, the devastation of war twisted him into something less than life, yet far more than death. His voice became a wound in the Force. His very presence devoured existence itself. Worlds withered at his passing, their life force drawn into the endless void that was his soul. To his followers, he was a god, a being beyond comprehension. To his enemies, he was oblivion. Nihilus spoke in tones no ear could hear, commanding through sheer will. Yet in his endless hunger, there was tragedy. For all his power, he could never be whole again. And so, he drifted among the stars, eternal, empty, and endlessly consuming. 28. The sorrows of Darth Traya. Darth Traya, once known as Kriya, walked the razor's edge between light and dark with weary grace. She was neither hero nor villain, but a seeker of meaning in a galaxy that had forgotten balance. Cast out by the Jedi, and later betrayed by her Sith apprentices, she came to see the Force itself as both gift and curse. To her, it was a living will that bound all beings, yet it demanded too much, shaping destinies without mercy. Her sorrow ran deeper than hatred. It was understanding. She trained others not to obey, but to choose. And in the end, she sought not domination, but silence, a moment when the Force itself might rest. And somewhere, perhaps, her wish still lingers, a whisper of peace within endless conflict. 29. The return of the Sith Empire. Long after the fall of the Triumvirate, the Sith returned from the dark edges of history, reborn under new banners. guided by the will of an ancient emperor. Their empire emerged like a shadow from the deep, silent, and immense. Worlds that had forgotten the Sith's name once again trembled beneath their fleets. They built citadels of iron and obsidian, fueled by old hatred and new ambition. This was not the chaotic brotherhood of old. It was an empire of order, cold, efficient, absolute. The Sith ruled not through rage alone, but through patience. Their darkness was disciplined, their vengeance measured like breath. And in that still, deliberate tyranny, the galaxy remembered that evil can whisper just as easily as it can roar. 30. The shadowed rule of Darth Vitiate. At the heart of that empire was a being older than memory, Darth Vitiate, who later became known as the Sith Emperor. His power stretched beyond lifetimes. His will was carved into the very fabric of the Force. Vitiate devoured entire worlds, feeding on life itself to sustain his immortality. Yet even in his monstrous hunger, there was terrifying calm, a mind that saw galaxies as instruments to be tuned, not destroyed. He ruled for centuries, unseen yet omnipresent, a phantom pulling the strings of fate. Planets fell, empires rose, and still he endured. Some said he transcended death. Others said he had forgotten life entirely. And as the stars spun through the ages, his shadow never truly faded, only deepened, quiet and eternal. 31. The dawn of Darth Bane. From the ruins of the ancient Sith came one who would reshape their destiny, Darth Bane. Born in the mines of a desolate world, he was a man forged by cruelty and endurance. In the heart of endless struggle, he found clarity that the Sith had fallen not to weakness, but to excess. Too many lords, too much greed, and too little purpose. Bane sought to restore the purity of the dark side, not through armies, but through discipline. He believed the Force demanded balance within the Sith themselves, that chaos must be tempered by cunning. Alone beneath a sky of crimson storms, he watched empires crumble and whispered the words that would redefine the darkness forever. And thus began the new age of shadow, the rule of two. 32. The wisdom of the rule of two. Two there shall be, no more, no less. With those words, Darth Bane sealed the fate of every Sith to come. Master and apprentice, the cycle of power eternal. The master embodied strength, the apprentice, ambition. When the apprentice surpassed the master, they would destroy them, and so the Sith would evolve, never stagnant, never merciful, always reborn. It was a cruel wisdom, yet it carried order. No longer would infighting destroy the Sith. Their hatred became sacred, their betrayal purposeful. Beneath this philosophy, patience replaced armies, and deception replaced war. Bane's vision was not one of chaos, but of perfect, enduring survival. And as centuries passed, the Sith became ghosts, waiting, watching, whispering from the shadows until their time returned. 33. Apprentices in the shadows. In the quiet centuries after Bane, the Sith vanished from the eyes of the galaxy. No longer did their fleets blot out the stars or their temples burn with red light. Instead, they moved like whispers through history. A single master, a single student, hidden beneath cloaks and false names. The apprentice learned not just to fight, but to wait. Patience became their greatest weapon, secrecy their survival. Some apprentices loved their masters, others plotted in silence, but each was a mirror, reflecting ambition, fear, and hunger back upon their teacher. Their power grew in secret, century by century, until the Sith became legend, dismissed as myth. And in that silence, they prepared, like the calm before a storm that would one day break across the stars. 34. The quiet patience of the Sith. After the fires of their empires faded into memory, the Sith learned to wait. No longer conquerors shouting across the galaxy, they became shadows within it. Their strength was no longer measured in armies, but in whispers. A single word in the right ear. A single action that could tilt the course of history. They studied from the dark corners of civilization, watching the Republic rebuild, watching the Jedi forget. To them, patience was not weakness, but artistry. For centuries, they allowed the galaxy to grow comfortable, confident, unaware. The Sith understood that revenge was best taken slowly, like the coiling of a serpent before the strike. And so they waited, hidden and eternal, letting time itself become their ally. 35. The end of the Brotherhood. Though the rule of two had replaced it, echoes of the old Brotherhood of Sith still lingered, remnants of a time when ambition ran wild and countless lords fought for dominance. Bane's doctrine demanded that such chaos end. Through deception and strength, he destroyed those who clung to the past, erasing the last trace of the Brotherhood that had consumed itself in arrogance. The great armies turned to dust, their banners forgotten beneath alien suns. What remained was simplicity, two souls bound by power and purpose, each sharpening the other like blades in the dark. The galaxy forgot the names of those who perished, but the Sith did not mourn. For in every ending, they saw the promise of a quieter, purer beginning. 36. Secrets hidden from the Jedi. While the Jedi flourished in temples of light, the Sith wove themselves into the unseen threads of history. They became scholars, merchants, politicians, hidden hands guiding fate. In ancient archives, Sith knowledge was buried beneath layers of deception, disguised as myth or lost philosophy. Even the Jedi libraries held fragments of their words, unknowingly preserving the very darkness they sought to destroy. The Sith learned that the truest power was not in being feared, but in being forgotten. Their teachings traveled through generations as half-remembered parables and forbidden texts. And as the Jedi meditated on serenity, the Sith meditated on patience. For every light leaves a shadow, and in that shadow, the Sith quietly thrived. 37. The power of legacy. The Sith understood what few ever did, that immortality was not merely the survival of the body, but the endurance of an idea. Their legacy was a current flowing quietly beneath the surface of time, shaping events long after their names had turned to dust. Each generation of Sith carried the wisdom of those before, not through compassion, but through will. The rule of two ensured that their essence, their knowledge, ambition, and hunger would never scatter again. From holocrons to whispered mantras, their thoughts became eternal, passed from one mind to the next, like the flicker of a dying flame kept alive through the night. And in that gentle persistence, the Sith found a strange kind of peace, immortality through remembrance. 38. The seed of revenge. For 1,000 years, the Jedi believed the Sith extinct. But the dark side never truly dies. It only learns to whisper more softly. Hidden among senators, scholars, and kings, the Sith began to sow seeds that would take centuries to bloom. Every treaty, every alliance, every moment of pride in the Republic's golden age, the Sith watched it all, planting the quiet roots of their return. They knew the galaxy would destroy itself, if only nudged the right way. They had no need for armies now. They needed only patience. And so revenge, once a blazing fire, became a slow-growing vine, wrapping itself around the Republic's heart until it could no longer breathe. 39. The silence of the dark side. The dark side is often imagined as thunder, rage and lightning and fire. But in truth, it is silence, the kind that follows after a storm, heavy and watchful. The Sith learned to dwell in that silence, to let it strengthen their minds while the galaxy above moved in chaos. It is within stillness that the dark side waits, not shouting, but listening. Every emotion, every fear, every fleeting thought of doubt in the hearts of beings becomes a note in its song. The Sith were masters of that quiet music, tuning themselves to it until their power was not forced, but felt. And in that soft, endless stillness, the darkness breathed, patient and alive. 40. The path from master to apprentice. For the Sith, the bond between master and apprentice was sacred and dangerous. It was a reflection of the dark side itself, power shared but never truly trusted. The master taught strength, patience, deception. The apprentice learned hunger, ambition, and the art of survival. Each knew that their partnership would end in betrayal, yet both accepted it as destiny. To the Sith, death was not tragedy, it was inheritance. Every lesson, every scar, every whisper of power passed from one to the next, refining the darkness with each generation. Some apprentices turned too soon and perished. Others waited decades, perfecting their moment. And when the blade finally fell, it was not hatred, but completion. The cycle fulfilled, the shadow reborn. 41. Darth Plagueis the Wise. Among all who followed the rule of two, few names lingered like Darth Plagueis. A philosopher, a scientist, a master of life and death itself. He believed that the Force could be bent not only to destroy, but to preserve, to command the essence of existence. Through his experiments, he learned to influence the very spark of creation, touching the edge of immortality. Yet even in his brilliance, Plagueis was blinded by trust. He taught his apprentice everything, every secret, every forbidden truth, believing he could not be undone. But as the legends tell, the dark side is never shared. And so, one night, as he dreamed of eternal life, his student watched and ended the dream with a single, silent betrayal. 42. The manipulations of the Senate. When Plagueis' apprentice, Darth Sidious, rose from shadow to statesman, the Sith's revenge truly began. Clothed in the manners of a diplomat, he entered the heart of the Republic, smiling as the galaxy mistook darkness for charm. The Senate became his stage, the Republic his instrument. Wars were not waged with weapons, but with words, and Sidious played them like a symphony. Through politics, he achieved what armies never could: control without resistance. While the Jedi guarded temples and treaties, the Sith ruled unseen, crafting both sides of the war to serve their design. And as the Republic applauded its savior, the Sith smiled beneath the mask, for the galaxy had offered its freedom willingly. 43. The creation of life through the Force. Among the most forbidden secrets of the Sith was their belief that the Force could not only destroy, but create. Darth Plagueis sought this truth with quiet obsession, to breathe life where none existed, to command the will of the cosmos itself. In the stillness of his laboratories, he reached into the currents of the Force, manipulating its essence like a sculptor shaping clay. He believed that through perfect understanding, death could be denied, and new life could be born by sheer will. Some say he succeeded. Others whisper that his experiments left ripples across the galaxy, echoes that touched destinies yet unborn. And in that boundless curiosity, equal parts wonder and hubris, the Sith brushed against the very heart of creation itself. 44. The birth of Darth Sidious. From the shadows of Naboo's serene plains rose a man destined to drown the galaxy in night, Darth Sidious. To the Republic, he was Chancellor Palpatine, calm, eloquent, reassuring. But behind that gentle smile hid a master of the dark side whose patience stretched across decades. Trained by Plagueis, Sidious learned that true power required silence, that the greatest victories are won without a sound. He nurtured fear as others nurtured hope, weaving deception into the very structure of government. To those around him, he was light. To the Sith, he was perfection, the culmination of every secret, every whisper, every lesson of the shadows. And when the time came, he shed his mask, revealing not a man, but the will of darkness itself. 45. Shadows in the Republic. Even as the Republic basked in its golden age, the shadow of Sidious stretched unseen across its shining towers. He turned allies into pawns, ideals into weapons, and peace into an illusion. Behind every political debate, his influence lingered, quiet, patient, inevitable. The Jedi, bound by their faith and order, could not sense the darkness rising beneath their feet. Corruption spread like ivy on marble, beautiful and unstoppable. Systems fell, armies rose, and still no one saw the hand that guided them all. The Sith had no need for open war. The Republic itself would collapse under the weight of its own blindness. And so the darkness grew, not in violence, but in silence, beneath the comforting light of the Senate's glow. 46. The rise of the Clone Wars War was the masterpiece of Darth Sidious, a storm crafted with precision, where every lightning bolt fell exactly where he wished. To the galaxy, it seemed tragedy. To him, it was design. The Clone Wars began as a conflict between the Republic and the Separatists, but both sides were his creation, their leaders mere pieces on a vast unseen board. Jedi became generals, leading soldiers grown for battle, their peacekeeping vows drowned by blaster fire. Every victory, every loss, every sacrifice drew the galaxy deeper into Sidious's grasp. War became not a means to destroy the Republic, but to make it beg for his control. And as the stars burned with endless conflict, the Sith's thousand-year revenge unfolded like poetry written in fire. 47. The seduction of Anakin Skywalker. Among all the pieces Sidious moved, one shone brighter than the rest. A boy born of prophecy, destined to bring balance to the Force. Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, burned with love and fear in equal measure. Sidious watched him carefully, whispering comfort where others offered judgment. He fed the boy's doubts like embers, teaching him that compassion could be twisted into power, that love could justify any act. When the time came, Anakin did not fall. He reached, desperate to save what he loved. And in that reaching, he found the dark side waiting like an open hand. Thus was born Darth Vader, not through hatred alone, but through a heart that could not bear to lose. 48. The fall of the Jedi Temple. The night the temple burned was one of silence. No screams reached the stars, only the distant hum of sabers and the echo of betrayal. Under orders of the new emperor, Darth Vader led legions of clones through the sacred halls where he once learned the ways of light. Statues of ancient masters fell, their shadows stretching long across the marble floors. The Force itself seemed to weep as children were silenced and holocrons shattered. In one night, 1,000 generations of peace were undone. And when dawn came to Coruscant, The temple stood blackened, hollow, a monument to the triumph of shadow. And from its ashes, the galaxy awoke to a new age, the reign of the Sith. 49. Order 66 and the Great Silence. It began with a single command, sterile, simple, and absolute. Execute Order 66. Across 1,000 worlds, the voices of clone troopers echoed the decree, and in a heartbeat, brother turned upon brother. The Jedi, guardians of peace for millennia, were hunted without mercy. The Force cried out as lightsabers were extinguished, one by one, across the stars. Worlds that once knew harmony fell into quiet mourning. The Republic, too weary to see the truth, accepted this darkness as safety. And in that moment, the galaxy exhaled, a long, trembling silence. The Jedi were gone, the Sith had won, and the Force itself seemed to fall asleep beneath a shroud of sorrow and shadow. 50. The Empire ascended. From the ashes of the Republic, the Empire rose, vast, gleaming, and cold. It was not a birth, but a transformation, guided by the quiet will of Darth Sidious. Star destroyers glided through the black like blades of silver. Worlds bent the knee, not out of devotion, but fear. The Emperor's face smiled from every broadcast, calm and confident, while his eyes hid the storm beneath. He ruled not through chaos, but through order, a cruel, efficient peace that strangled freedom while whispering safety. The galaxy grew used to the weight of his presence, the comfort of his control. And beneath that endless night, the Sith's victory was complete. The shadows ruling not by force, but by the illusion of light. 51. The rule of the Emperor. Darth Sidious reigned as both ruler and phantom. One face for the galaxy, another for the dark side. In public, he was the wise Emperor. In secret, he was a sorcerer who communed with spirits older than empires. His throne room became his temple, his empire a grand ritual of control. He studied ancient texts, delving into forgotten Sith magics, seeking not conquest alone, but eternity. Through fear, he bound the galaxy to his will. Even the stars seemed dimmer in his dominion, their light subdued by the weight of his darkness. Yet, in his silence, he felt what every Sith eventually does, the cold loneliness of victory. For even power, eternal and vast, casts no warmth upon its master. 52. The construction of the Death Star. In the heart of the Empire's ambition lay a single vision, a sphere of metal vast enough to hold a moon's silence, powerful enough to erase entire worlds. The Death Star was not merely a weapon. It was the embodiment of fear, the will of Darth Sidious made real. Engineers, soldiers, and slaves labored in secret, their efforts veiled by lies and shadows. It rose slowly from the void, piece by piece, until its super laser gleamed like a single, unblinking eye. The Sith understood that terror could rule where armies could not. The Death Star was the ultimate illusion, order through annihilation. And as it hung in the darkness, silent and perfect, even the stars seemed to keep their distance, as though afraid to watch. 53. The search for immortality. Though Emperor Palpatine ruled with absolute control, his heart was not content with dominion. What he craved most was escape, not from power, but from death itself. Like Plagueis before him, he delved into forbidden rituals, bending the Force to sustain his failing body. He studied ancient holocrons, communed with spirits in the void, and experimented with clones that might carry his essence beyond the grave. Yet immortality is a treacherous dream. Each attempt left him further from life, tethered to existence through pain and pride alone. The Sith had always sought eternity, but none had truly found peace within it. And so the Emperor lingered in the twilight between life and decay, a shadow desperate to outrun the night. 54. The duel with Yoda. When the Republic fell and the Emperor's throne was secured, one last light rose to challenge the darkness. Deep within the Senate chamber, beneath the echo of a dying democracy, Yoda faced Darth Sidious. Theirs was no simple battle. It was the clash of philosophies, of balance and domination. Lightning met serenity, and the air burned with the weight of their wills. For a moment, it seemed as though time itself held its breath, but the galaxy had already chosen its silence. Yoda fell, not in defeat, but in understanding that survival, not victory, would preserve hope. And as the Emperor's laughter echoed through the hollowed halls, a new kind of balance began, fragile, waiting, and unseen. 55. The shadow of Vader. Across the stars, a new symbol of fear emerged. Not a fleet or a banner, but a single man wrapped in armor, black as night. Darth Vader, once the chosen one, now served as the right hand of the Emperor, the living embodiment of the Sith's might. His breath, slow and mechanical, echoed through the corridors of power like a haunting melody. Entire worlds fell silent at the mention of his name. Yet beneath the mask, a storm still raged. Guilt, loss, and the faint ember of the man he once was. The galaxy saw only the monster, but in the quiet moments between battles, Anakin Skywalker's ghost stirred within him. And in that fragile whisper, the Force remembered that even darkness once knew love. 56. The pain of Mustafar. On the fiery world of Mustafar, the dark side found its purest reflection. Rivers of molten rock flowed like veins through the planet's heart, each pulse a reminder of suffering and rebirth. It was here that Anakin Skywalker was truly consumed, body broken, soul reforged. The heat melted his humanity into shadow, his screams swallowed by the hiss of steam and fire. When Sidious found him, he did not see tragedy, but perfection. A vessel stripped of mercy, rebuilt in pain. Vader rose from the ashes not as man, but as will made flesh. And so, beneath the endless glow of flame, the dark side gained its greatest servant. Born of agony, sustained by loss, and bound forever to his master's command. 57. The Emperor's throne room. Far above the glittering lights of Coruscant, within the hollow core of power, stood the Emperor's throne, a seat carved from silence. From this chamber, Darth Sidious ruled the galaxy, cloaked in shadows that no light dared pierce. Every visitor who entered felt smaller, their thoughts bending toward his will. The air was heavy with the hum of the dark side, as if the very walls listened. Here, he plotted not only the galaxy's future, but eternity's shape. Yet even as he commanded countless lives, he remained utterly alone. His throne, vast and cold, was his triumph and his prison. And in that solitude, the darkness deepened, endless, patient, and utterly still. 58. The redemption of the Chosen One. In the cold machinery of his life, Darth Vader believed redemption was beyond him. Yet the Force, eternal and patient, never stopped whispering his true name. When he stood before his son, Luke, pure of heart and unwavering in faith, the armor that had protected him for decades became a cage. Luke saw not the monster, but the man. And in that moment, the dark side faltered. The Emperor's lightning struck, searing his flesh and soul. But love proved stronger than hatred. With a final act of defiance, Vader destroyed his master, sacrificing himself to save his son. And as he lay dying, the mask was lifted, and Anakin Skywalker, once lost to shadow, was born again in the light. 59. The Fall of the Empire. When the second Death Star burned above Endor, the galaxy exhaled. The reign of fear that had lasted for generations began to crumble like dust in sunlight. The Emperor was gone, his fleets in chaos, his servants lost without his will to guide them. Across the stars, celebration sparked like constellations, the oppressed rising, the hopeful reborn. Yet the Empire's fall was not a sudden collapse, but a long fading. Power, once absolute, unraveled thread by thread. The shadow lingered, still dangerous, still proud. But the galaxy had remembered something stronger than fear: hope. And as fireworks bloomed above forest moons, the echo of Sith tyranny drifted into silence, swallowed by the dawn of a freer age. 60. The quiet of the aftermath. After empires die, the galaxy does not rejoice forever. There is rebuilding, reflection, and the long quiet that follows the storm. The Jedi returned to myth, and the Sith, though defeated, were never truly gone. The Force balanced itself once more, yet in every silence, darkness waits. Old ruins on Korriban stirred with ancient energy. Forgotten holocrons hummed faintly in the dark. The cycle of shadow and light had merely paused, catching its breath. In that stillness, the galaxy healed, unaware that deep within the void, whispers began anew. For the Sith have never needed armies to rise again. Only time and the memory of power. 61. The cults that remained. Even after the Emperor's fall, the galaxy could not forget him. In the farthest reaches of the stars, hidden among forgotten systems, small groups of worshippers remained. The cults of the Sith Eternal. They prayed not to gods, but to memories of power, chanting the names of long-dead lords as if their spirits still listened. Cloaked in crimson, they guarded relics and fragments of the old empire, shards of sabers, broken masks, and crumbling holocrons that pulsed faintly with the echo of the dark side. These cults believed that the Emperor would rise again, that death could not silence the will of the Sith. And beneath their endless devotion, the shadows stirred, patient as always, waiting for their master's return. 62. The Inquisitor's shadow. Before the fall, Sidious had sown seeds that would linger. The Inquisitors, hunters of the last Jedi. They were not true Sith, but servants molded by fear and pain, wielding red blades forged from corrupted crystals. Once Jedi themselves, they had been broken and remade, their hope replaced with obedience. Even after the Emperor's death, their order endured in secret, corners of the galaxy, chasing ghosts of the Force, ensuring that the light could never fully rise again. Their existence was one of quiet torment, bound by hatred, haunted by what they had lost. And though their numbers dwindled, their legacy remained, proof that the darkness could twist even the purest souls into silence. 63. The secrets of Exegol. Far beyond the known galaxy, hidden behind storms of energy and space uncharted, lay Exegol, the true heart of Sith eternity. A world of perpetual night, where lightning danced across black skies and towers rose like the teeth of ancient gods. Beneath its surface, laboratories, temples, and vaults stretched endlessly, guarded by the loyal and the damned. Here, the cultists of the Sith Eternal worked in darkness, shaping new bodies, preserving forbidden knowledge, preparing for their master's return. The Force felt strange there, heavy, cold, alive. Exegol was not merely a planet, but a wound in reality itself. And deep within its shadows, the voice of the Emperor began to whisper once more. Faint, but awakening. 64. The resurrection of Palpatine. In the shrouded laboratories of Exegol, lightning flickered like veins beneath the planet's dark skin. There, Through rituals older than memory and science forbidden by every code, the Emperor's will was reborn. His spirit, once cast into the abyss, clawed its way back through the shadows, tethered to imperfect vessels crafted in secret. The body that emerged was frail, twisted by the strain of holding such power, yet his eyes burned as fiercely as ever. To the Sith Eternal, it was a miracle. To the galaxy, an omen. The Emperor had defied death itself, proving what the Sith had always believed. The dark side does not yield. And in the storm of rebirth, the galaxy shuddered, sensing that its nightmare had learned to dream again. 65. The bloodlines of power. From the Emperor's resurrection came whispers of legacy. A bloodline born not of love, but of design. Among the scattered stars, descendants of his will lived unknowingly, carrying fragments of his strength within them. To Palpatine, lineage was not about family, it was about continuation, a vessel for the eternal flame of control. Yet destiny, unpredictable and luminous, had other plans. His own blood would one day stand against him, proof that even in the deepest darkness, the Force seeks balance. The child of shadow would rise not as servant, but as challenger, the final echo of a dynasty built on fear. And through that defiance, the galaxy would remember that even the darkest legacy carries a spark of light. 66. The Sith Eternal. The cultists who served the resurrected Emperor called themselves the Sith Eternal, believers without doubt, builders without mercy. Generations had been raised for this purpose alone, to restore the old ways, to forge a final order. Their fleets slept in the storms of Exegol, thousands of star destroyers waiting for his command. Each was a symbol of devotion. Their crews chanting the old mantras before engines ever roared to life. To them, the Emperor was not a man, but the living embodiment of the dark side, the culmination of every lord who had ever lived. And when their master stirred upon his throne of machines, the galaxy once again felt the cold breath of inevitability. The Sith had returned. 67. The cloning of the Emperor. Beneath the storm-lit skies of Exegol, the Sith blended alchemy and science into a single act of defiance against nature itself. The Emperor's spirit, too powerful for any living form, was poured into bodies grown from his own flesh, fragile vessels meant to cage eternity. Most shattered beneath the weight of his will, their voices fading before they could draw breath. Yet the cultists continued, believing each failure sacred, each experiment another prayer to the dark side. Among those imperfect creations, one succeeded, though not as they intended. A child, pure and untainted by the shadow, slipped free of their control. And thus, even in their quest to preserve darkness, the Sith unknowingly gave birth to its greatest undoing, the bloodline of light. 68. The return of the Final Order. Years after the Emperor's fall, the storms of Exegol parted once more. From the abyss emerged a fleet so vast it blotted out the stars. The Final Order forged in silence, waiting for the call to ignite the galaxy anew. Each ship was armed with the power to destroy worlds, each crew bred for obedience. To the Emperor's followers, it was destiny fulfilled. To the galaxy, it was the return of the nightmare it had tried to forget. The Sith Eternal prepared to spread fear like fire, their master's voice echoing across the stars through loyal servants and lost hearts. And in that moment, the shadows of every fallen lord seemed to rise again, united beneath one final trembling storm. 69. The conflict of light and dark. As the Final Order rose, so too did the Force awaken. not in armies, but in individuals, scattered like stars across the void. Old prophecies stirred, and the eternal balance shifted once more. The dark sought domination, the light, harmony, and between them stood choice, the power that binds all life. Across generations, across galaxies, the struggle was never about victory, but about balance, the endless rhythm of shadow and sun. The Sith believed in control, the Jedi believed in trust, but the Force belongs to neither. And in that eternal conflict, fierce, beautiful, and infinite, the galaxy remembered what it had always known, that darkness and light are not enemies, but reflections of one another, forever intertwined. 70. The end of the Sith legacy. On the barren world of Exegol, the end of the Sith came not with thunder, but with release. Lightning danced across the sky as Rey, heir to both light and darkness, stood before the resurrected Emperor. Around her, the echoes of 1,000 generations whispered, not in anger, but in balance. Palpatine reached for her, the Force itself trembling under his command. But the darkness he had worshipped for so long began to fold in on itself. The power he sought to control consumed him, unraveling into silence. The throne shattered, and the storm subsided. The Sith, whose legacy had stretched across millennia, fell into dust, and in that stillness, the galaxy breathed again, not in triumph, but in peace. 71. The meaning of passion. To the Sith, passion was not a curse, but creation. It was the spark that gave meaning to existence, the heartbeat of life itself. Through passion, they found strength. Through strength, identity. Yet what they never understood was that passion, like fire, can warm or destroy depending on how it is held. Love and rage are born of the same flame, and the Force does not judge between them. The Sith embraced emotion without balance, mistaking intensity for truth. But even within their creed, there is a kind of wisdom, a reminder that life is not meant to be cold. For passion, in its purest form, is not control. It is the will to truly feel. 72. The power of strength. Strength was the core of the Sith's belief, the measure by which all things were judged. Yet strength, as they came to learn, is not simply power over others. True strength lies in endurance, the quiet will to rise again, even when surrounded by ruin. The Sith embodied this in their own way, surviving exile, betrayal, and extinction. Their philosophy twisted it into domination, but the essence remained the same. In their striving, they mirrored the galaxy itself, breaking, rebuilding, evolving. And perhaps that was the dark side's greatest lesson, that growth is born from struggle, that even shadows have purpose. And as the stars turn endlessly above, that truth remains, whispered softly in the current of the Force. 73. The will of victory. Victory, to the Sith, was not merely triumph over others. It was survival against the inevitable. Every battle, every betrayal, every quiet meditation in the dark was an act of endurance, a refusal to yield to despair. The Sith did not seek victory for glory, but because losing meant vanishing into the void they feared most. Yet the truest victories they achieved were internal, mastering pain, transforming weakness into will. In this, there is a strange nobility, the relentless determination to exist, to continue, to carve meaning from chaos. Their creed taught that through victory, chains are broken, and though their empires have fallen, their will endures, echoing like a heartbeat in the long, dark silence between the stars. 74. The freedom of the self. The Sith believed in liberation, not of nations or species, but of the soul. To them, Freedom meant casting off every restraint, law, morality, even destiny itself. They sought to become pure will, unbound by fear or consequence. Yet in chasing that perfect freedom, they forged new chains of obsession, of solitude, of hunger. True freedom, the Force seems to whisper, is not found in domination, but in understanding. The Sith sought to own their fate, the Jedi to surrender to it. Between those extremes lies balance, the freedom of acceptance. Still, there is beauty in the Sith's dream, in their refusal to be caged by anything, even eternity. And somewhere in that defiance, the Force finds its most human reflection. 75. The nature of darkness. The darkness is not evil. It is the quiet between heartbeats, the stillness before dawn, the unseen half of creation. The Sith called it their ally, their power, their truth. Yet the darkness does not belong to anyone. It is a mirror, showing what we fear, what we desire, what we hide from ourselves. Those who stare into it too long often mistake their reflection for the abyss. But the dark side is not only destruction, it is emotion, raw and untamed, the part of life that feels. Without it, the light would have no warmth, no meaning. And so, even in shadow, there is beauty. For the Force is both silence and song, darkness and dawn intertwined. 76. The balance within the Force. The Sith sought to bend the Force, while the Jedi sought to serve it. Yet both were reflections of a single truth. The Force was never meant to be conquered or obeyed, only understood. Balance is not stillness. It is motion, the endless dance between creation and destruction, love and fear, light and shadow. For every act of darkness, the light responds, and for every act of good, shadow quietly grows. Even the Sith, in their hunger and defiance, play their part in the rhythm of the cosmos. Balance is not peace, it is harmony in contrast. And so, when the stars whisper through the silence of space, the Force breathes evenly once more, patient, whole, and infinite. 77. The temptation of fear. Fear was the doorway through which most Sith began their journey. Fear of loss, fear of death, fear of insignificance. It is a quiet thing, a thought that grows in the dark corners of the mind until it becomes the architect of fate. The Sith embraced fear, believing that through it they could find strength. And for a time, they did. But fear, left unmastered, does not grant power. It consumes it. Even the mightiest Sith, from Vader to Sidious, were bound not by their power, but by the terror of letting it go. And so the Force reminds us gently that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to walk through it, unchained. 78. The beauty of control. To the Sith, control was art, the perfection of will over chaos. They studied it like the Jedi studied serenity, shaping their emotions with precision rather than denial. A true Sith did not rage blindly. They conducted their fury like music, each note deliberate. Control gave them purpose, focus, clarity in the storm. But there is danger in perfection. For control too tightly held becomes fragility. Even the greatest lords, in their mastery, found themselves trapped by the walls they built. Yet in their striving, there was strange beauty, the harmony of discipline and passion intertwined. And somewhere between control and surrender lies the Force itself, timeless, flowing, and free. 79. The illusion of peace. The Sith believed that peace was a lie, that beneath calm waters, the current of conflict always flows. And in truth, peace in the galaxy has never been more than a fragile pause between storms. Even the Jedi, who devoted themselves to serenity, could not escape the cycle. For peace is not the absence of conflict, but but the quiet between its echoes. The Sith saw through that illusion, though they misunderstood it. They mistook peace for weakness, not realizing that calm requires its own kind of strength, the courage to remain still in the presence of chaos. And so, through war and silence, through destruction and renewal, the galaxy turned endlessly, learning that even illusions hold lessons worth keeping. 80. The eternal struggle. Across all ages, the struggle between light and dark has never truly ended. It is the heartbeat of the galaxy, each pulse a reminder that the Force itself is alive. The Sith sought victory, the Jedi sought balance, yet both were bound to the same endless cycle, as inevitable as sunrise and dusk. The struggle was not punishment, but pattern, a rhythm that gave meaning to existence. Without it, the Force would be static, lifeless. And so, through every fall and every rise, the galaxy renews itself. The Sith fall to the Jedi, and the Jedi to their own hubris. But the Force endures, not taking sides, simply flowing onward, eternal and serene, like the tide between the stars. 81. The Sith and the stars. The Sith have always been drawn to the stars, to the vast, unending darkness that mirrors their own hunger. They built empires among them, carved tombs upon distant moons, and sent their dreams adrift through hyperspace. To them, each star was both promise and warning, light surrounded by endless shadow. Perhaps that is why they reach for the heavens, seeking not merely power, but belonging. For even in their conquest, there was yearning, the wish to be remembered, to leave their mark upon infinity. The stars, indifferent yet eternal, kept their secrets well, and when night falls over the galaxy, their faint glimmer reminds us that even darkness cannot exist without light to define it. 82. The echo of the Force. The Force remembers. Every act of creation, every whisper of destruction leaves a trace upon its current. The Sith knew this. That power is never truly gone, only transformed. When a Dark Lord falls, their essence lingers like the aftertaste of lightning in the air. Planets where great battles were fought hum faintly with the memory of their rage. Stones retain the echo of screams long silenced. To walk those worlds is to feel the weight of history pressing upon the soul. Yet even in those places, the Force hums with balance, light healing what darkness wounds, time softening what passion burns. And so, through every rise and fall, the galaxy continues to listen, carrying the echoes of the Sith like distant thunder fading into night. 83. The cost of power. To wield the dark side is to bargain with the very essence of being. Power for the Sith was never given. It demanded a toll. Some lost their bodies to its hunger, others their sanity, and most their hearts. The dark side offered strength, but at the cost of self. Every victory required a surrender, of compassion, of trust, of peace. The greatest lords learned too late that domination over others meant enslavement to their own desire. Yet still, they reached, unable to let go of the burning promise that power made. The Force is patient, though, and every fire, no matter how fierce, must cool. And in the quiet that follows, only truth remains, that nothing gained through fear can ever truly endure. 84. The loneliness of the dark. The dark side is full of voices, spirits, memories, temptations, yet it is a profoundly lonely place. Every Sith, in their quest for control, drifts further from the touch of others. They surround themselves with fear and obedience, but never companionship. In the silence of their triumph, they find only the echo of their own breath. For all their talk of freedom, they become prisoners of power, of pride, of solitude. Even Darth Sidious, surrounded by legions, ruled a galaxy that could not love him. And beneath Darth Vader's armor, there was always emptiness, heavier than steel. And so the darkness teaches its cruelest lesson, that without connection, even immortality feels like exile. 85. The burden of immortality. The Sith chased eternity as if it were salvation. The promise that death could be denied, that power could stretch forever. Yet immortality, when touched, was never a gift, but a weight. Darth Vitiate lingered for centuries, his mind fractured across time, his soul hollowed by hunger. Darth Sidious returned from death itself, yet found no joy in his resurrection, only exhaustion, only the endless need to control what could never be his. Immortality stripped away meaning, leaving only existence without purpose. To live forever is to watch everything else fade. Apprentices, empires, even the stars themselves. And so the Sith learned, too late, that the truest peace is not in endless life, but in the acceptance of its end. 86. The dreams of domination. Every Sith, from the nameless acolyte to the greatest emperor, shared one dream: to rule not merely the galaxy, but destiny. They sought to shape the Force itself, to impose their vision upon the infinite. But domination is a hollow dream, for control over others can never fill the emptiness within. Worlds bowed, fleets obeyed, yet their victories always crumbled like ash between their fingers. The galaxy resists ownership, for it belongs to no one, not even those who believe they command it. The Sith saw domination as strength, but the Force saw it as imbalance. And when their empires fell, the stars whispered softly, reminding the void that power cannot rule what was never meant to kneel. 87. The paradox of balance. The Sith taught that passion brings power, that through struggle comes freedom. The Jedi believed peace was the path to truth, yet the Force, vast and eternal, holds both within its embrace. Balance does not destroy shadow or light. It allows them to coexist. The Sith's rage gave purpose to the Jedi's calm, just as the Jedi's compassion tempered the Sith's fury. In the grand design, each needs the other to define itself. Balance is not perfection, but understanding. The moment one sees that even darkness has beauty, and light its burden. And so, as the galaxies spin in quiet rhythm, the Force endures, unbroken, undivided, whispering that all things, even shadow, serve the whole. 88. The fall of every empire. Every empire that rises beneath the stars believes itself eternal. The Sith were no different. They carved monuments of stone and metal, wrote their names across the skies, and believed the galaxy would never forget. Yet time is a quiet and patient force. It erodes pride, softens memory, and buries even the mightiest beneath the sand. Worlds that once trembled at the Sith's command now lie in ruins, their temples swallowed by dust and silence. Power, no matter how absolute, cannot outlast the turning of the stars. The Force watches, unmoved, as every ruler becomes myth, and every myth becomes echo. And so the Sith learned what all who chase eternity must, that even shadow fades when dawn returns. 89. The whisper of redemption. Redemption is the rarest light to touch the dark side, yet it glimmers even there. It came to Vader through love, to Revan through memory, and to countless others through the faint reminder that they were once whole. The Sith may try to drown the past in hatred, but the Force remembers what lies beneath. In every act of cruelty, compassion waits. In every surrender to rage, there remains the spark of mercy. The dark side cannot erase what was born of the light. It can only bury it beneath layers of fear. But even buried, the heart remembers. And sometimes, all it takes is a single voice, a single act of grace to awaken what was never truly lost. 90. The quiet end of all things. When the last temple has crumbled, when the final saber's hum fades into silence, there will come a moment of stillness. The Sith will have passed into memory, and the Jedi into song. The galaxy will drift, timeless and infinite, its stars pulsing like slow, steady heartbeats. The Force will remain, not light, not dark, simply presence. It will breathe through the dust of forgotten empires, through the wind across barren worlds, through the hearts of those yet unborn. For the Force has no end. It only transforms. And in that vast, eternal quiet, even the shadows rest, their story complete, their purpose fulfilled beneath the endless stars. 91. Legends in the dust. Long after their voices have faded, the Sith endure as legend. Wanderers who cross the deserts of Korriban sometimes claim to hear the wind whispering ancient names. Ragnos, Sadao, Bane. Perhaps it is only the shifting of sand, or perhaps the Force itself remembers. Every dune hides a story, every ruin a trace of power long spent. In the dust lies both glory and decay, the remains of empires that once believed themselves immortal. Yet even in their stillness, there is beauty, the peace that follows centuries of conflict. The Sith, who sought to rule the galaxy, now rule only memory. And as starlight brushes the red horizon, their echoes rest softly beneath it, forgotten, yet forever part of the endless night. 92. Holocrons, lost in time. Scattered across forgotten worlds, buried beneath temples and oceans, lie the holocrons of the Sith. These crystalline pyramids hum faintly when touched by the Force, each containing a fragment of their Creator's will. Some still whisper their secrets to those who dare to listen, lessons of power, temptation, and warning. Others have gone silent, their knowledge dimmed by time's patient hand. The Jedi once sought to destroy them, but many escaped that fate, hidden in vaults or drifting through the void. They remain as sleeping minds, ghosts of teachers who will never die. And perhaps one day, when the galaxy has grown quiet again, someone will find them and awaken the voices of the shadows once more. 93. Spirits in the ruins. There are places in the galaxy where the Force feels heavy, as though it remembers sorrow. In the ruins of Sith temples, the air hums with unseen presences. Visitors speak of figures glimpsed at the edge of vision, robed silhouettes that vanish like mist. These spirits do not haunt in malice, but in longing, bound to the stones that once held their power. They are the remnants of those who could not let go, whose will refused to fade. Yet even they grow tired, their whispers thinning like smoke in the wind. And when at last they fall silent, the ruins become still once more, monuments not to darkness, but to the passage of time itself. 94. Secrets beneath the sand. Beneath the crimson sands of Korriban, time itself seems to sleep. The surface tells only half the story, endless dunes and broken stone. But far below lie chambers untouched for millennia. There, the walls are carved with the histories of the Sith, written not in ink, but in the language of power. Crystals hum faintly within the dark, still resonating with the will of those who once ruled. Some say the Force gathers thickly in these caverns, bending sound and breath, turning whispers into voices that are not your own. No treasure glitters there, only memory. The wealth of ages sealed by pride. And so, beneath the weight of endless dust, the galaxy's oldest secrets continue to dream in silence. 95. Darkness, beyond death. For the Sith, death was never an end, only a threshold. They feared it, yes, but they also sought to master it. Many found ways to linger, as spirits, as echoes, as sparks trapped between the living and the void. Some haunted their tombs, others their apprentices, unwilling to release the chains of control. Yet such survival came with a cost. Each year of existence beyond death stripped away more of what made them human, leaving only hunger and memory. The immortality they achieved was not peace, but persistence, shadows that refused to fade. And in that defiance, the dark side found its truest mirror, a reflection that endures even when the face behind it is gone. 96. The memory of the Dark Lords. Across the galaxy, the memory of the Sith lingers, not in monuments or armies, but in the quiet awe of those who study the past. Scholars still debate their motives, their philosophies, their strange balance of beauty and cruelty. Artists paint them as gods, poets as monsters, yet both miss the truth that the Sith were simply beings who reached too far, who loved power as others loved the stars. Their names live on in whispers, in forgotten archives, in the trembling curiosity of those who dare to ask why. For though they fell, they left behind a question that still echoes. And when night comes, even the Force seems to remember them, not with judgment, but with understanding. 97. Lessons from the Shadow. Every shadow carries a lesson, even one cast by darkness itself. The Sith, in all their rage and brilliance, were teachers as much as conquerors. They showed the galaxy what happens when desire eclipses compassion, when will forgets humility. Yet from their rise and ruin came understanding that the Force cannot be owned, only shared, that emotion is sacred but must flow, not consume. Their story is not one of evil alone, but of imbalance, of the ache within all living things to matter, to endure. And so, even in failure, the Sith gave the galaxy wisdom the Jedi could not. That without shadow, there is no form. Without passion, no creation. And in their silence now, the galaxy remembers, learning, as they once did, from the dark. 98. The balance that endures. When all wars are done, when temples crumble and the stars grow weary, the Force remains, neither light nor dark, but whole. The balance the Sith once rejected now hums quietly in the rhythm of life. Birth and decay, rise and fall, breath and stillness. Every heartbeat across the galaxy echoes that truth. Balance is not victory or defeat. It is harmony, the moment when all opposites meet and recognize themselves. The Sith, through their defiance, helped shape that balance, their darkness carving room for light to bloom. Even their downfall was part of the design, their ambition absorbed into the quiet flow of eternity. And so, through their ashes, the galaxy finds its rhythm again, slow, patient, and endlessly renewed. 99. The light that waits beyond every darkness, light endures, not as conquest, but as return. It waits in the smallest of things, in the laughter of children born to a peaceful sky, in the hum of the Force when all else is still. The Sith believed light to be weakness, yet it was light that forgave them, that allowed the galaxy to heal from their scars. The Force does not punish. It balances, restoring what time has broken. The light that waits is gentle, but unyielding. The dawn that always comes, no matter how long the night. And as stars glimmer softly over forgotten worlds, the galaxy dreams, resting in the quiet promise that every ending becomes a beginning. 100. The Force beyond all. At the end of every story, after the rise of empires, after the fall of heroes, after the final echo of light and shadow, there is only the Force. It stretches beyond the reach of words, beyond the pull of stars, beyond the endless dance of life and death. The Sith called it power, the Jedi called it peace. But in truth, it is both, and neither. The quiet breath between heartbeats, the stillness that connects all things. Every whisper of wind, every flicker of flame, every life born or fading belongs to it. The Sith, for all their fury, were part of this same current. Their darkness, their hunger, their endless striving, all flowed back into the whole, teaching the galaxy what balance truly means. For even shadow, when seen from far enough away, is shaped by light. The Force watches without judgment, gathers without choosing. It remembers all things, the scream of battle, the song of peace, the hum of lightsabers now long silent. And so, when the last star dims and the galaxy sleeps, the Force will still remain, vast and patient, holding the memories of all who ever lived. The Sith will rest beside the Jedi, their voices blending into the same eternal hush. The past will dissolve into calm, the future into promise. There will be no victory, no defeat, only unity, the great silence that began before time and will endure after it. And as you drift into your own quiet night, remember this: the Force moves through you too, gentle as breath, timeless as starlight. You are part of that same story, endless and infinite, one with all that was and all that will ever be. Sleep now, traveler of the galaxy. Let the shadows fade. Let the stars guide you home. And may the Force, vast, luminous, and beyond all darkness, be with you, always. And now, our long voyage through shadow comes to rest. The voices of the Sith grow quiet, their empires fade into dust, and the stars begin to sing softly once more. What was once darkness now feels gentle, a memory of struggle, of strength, of longing turned to peace. The Force, vast and eternal, hums around you, calm, balanced, alive. You've traveled through centuries of history, through fire and silence, and now you've arrived at stillness. There's nothing left to chase, nothing left to fear, only the soft rhythm of your breath and the quiet promise of another dawn. If these stories helped you drift among the stars tonight, remember to like, subscribe, and share which era of the galaxy you'd love to dream through next. Perhaps the Jedi, or the Clone Wars, or the Legends of the Mandalorians. When you're ready to keep dreaming, simply tap the end screen to continue your journey, to fall asleep, to another night beneath the twin suns. Rest now, traveler. The Force is with you, in every heartbeat, in every breath, in every dream that follows. Sleep deeply, and may balance and peace guide you through the stars.